summer's just about here, and while that means a lot of TV shows have gone on hiatus until the fall, the age of streaming video makes it easy to keep enjoying the best stuff, like House of Cards, Game of Thrones, Sherlock, and more. But why would you want to be watching that stuff when you could be watching 1940s educational films on hygiene? Yes, today we're looking at the 1947 short film Joan Avoids a Cold, produced by Coronet Instructional Films, an educational production company from the United States that specialized in teaching students what's what through the awesome power of the classroom film projector. Yes, just like the children of the 80s and 90s had their awkward and campy educational videos, kids in the 1940s and 50s also had to sit through contrived lessons on how to behave. Though I think the children of the 40s had it worse. At least 90s educational videos tried to find people who could really act. Stuff like Joan Avoids a Cold seemed to be made with whatever staff and students the crew could find at a particular school. But anyway, let's find out what this class of 3rd graders from 57 years ago has to say about infection prevention. The advantage of watching digital versions of these films is that you get to enjoy all the original hisses, pops, and spots on the picture in crystal clarity. Well, I guess they didn't have time to transition their audio since this movie is only 10.5 minutes.
The guardians of our health, our doctors, nurses, teachers, and parents, are working together to keep us well.
Whoa, they're even cutting syllables now. If these cuts were any more awkward, I'd say this was a Turkish B-movie.
This is Joan, getting ready for school. Joan learned at school that it's important to choose the right clothes on a cold day.
She learned how to dress properly at school and not from her parents? How has she survived this long?
She will need her snowsuit if she wishes to keep well for the Dutch festival.
Ah yes, the Dutch festival. A tradition so well known and loved that we don't even need to explain what, if anything, it is. Like any good livestock owner, Joan's mother inspects the children's mouths before offering them for sale.
Mother is good to see Jim looking so well this morning. Their color is good.
It's hard for us to tell their color is good when you're shooting in monochrome.
Jim's friend George is eating an apple as he waits for them. That is a wise no thank you, Joan. Never share another's food.
Even if you're starving, it's better to die of hunger than risk spreading microbes of any kind. Hey, wait a minute, these locations look a lot like the locations from A Christmas Story. Look, here's the house from their film. And here's a scene from A Christmas Story. Here's the school from this film. And here it is in A Christmas Story.
Are you kidding? Stick my tongue to that stupid pole, that's dumb.
That is a wise no thank you, Joan. George and Joan are glad to be in school. The children are getting ready for their Dutch festival.
And I guess the Dutch festival involves giant thermometer props because that's the very next thing they talk about. Wow, with this film's budget, I'm surprised they could afford to hire a star like Raggedy Andy. What's that, teacher? I can't hear you. You have to speak into the microphone.
Why, cold germs can fly farther than Miss May can blow the feather. Cold germs can fly 8 feet to another child's nose.
Oh, well, thanks a lot. Your little demonstration just ruined that girl's apple with a dirty feather.
Even though the voiceover is out of sync, it's still funny to imagine that Miss May has the narrator's voice.
No, not that way, George. Blow your nose gently, without pressing the opening of the nostrils closed. That's better. Oh, and your feet are wet. It's easy to catch cold when your body is chilly. You'd better go and see the school nurse. She'll help you.
I, for one, question this nurse's ability to give medical advice. It looks like she can't even print the letter E correctly. But oh wait, we're actually going to hear the actors talking.
Now, George, who sent you in here?
Miss May said I might be catching a cold.
Well, what do you think?
I'm hot and chilly.
Part of me wants to make fun of this, but another part of me is thinking that this boy they picked here was probably really excited to be in a movie. The nurse isn't great, but the editing doesn't help either.
All right, now you sit down.
Just cut those frames right out. We want to leave room for this important thermometer scene.
Oh, your feet are wet too, George. Well, this is Miss Wright, Mrs. Powell. George came in to see me a few moments ago with a cold. I do think he'd be more comfortable at home in bed.
I also question your parenting for letting him come to school like this. But enough of that. Joan's mother appears to have shown up unannounced and barged in on the teacher's office.
Dressing this weather doll for outdoor weather helps Joan know what to wear herself.
It also makes a great collectible available at Sears for only $5.99.
At school, Joan's committee keeps the washroom attractive with soap sponges, brushes, and signs. Another records the temperature and tells us when we need heat or fresh air.
Really? You're putting a child in charge of the thermostat? You just gave every father in the world stomach ulcers. Oh, son, please don't look at the camera.
I'm so glad to get this health record sheet. Your check on Joan's habits at school will help me plan a corrective health program at home.
You can tell I'm enthusiastic about this by the way I'm looking at a piece of paper and reading my lines in a flat voice.
Thank you for some grand ideas, Miss May. I'm going to visit school again some afternoon when I call for Joan.
Now just give the director a second to change angles so the other actors can see your cue cards.
Do come often. It is good for teachers and children to have parents visit school.
Yes, come anytime. At break time, in the middle of tests, and any time the kids are unsupervised.
And here are new cups.
I think George fell asleep. Oh no, wait. The sight of his sister getting her very own measuring cup has made him green with envy now. Somehow. Oh, and for all of you who never got to see this on an original 1940s film projector, the film crew has helpfully recorded the sound of it on their own audio track. Why, yes, Rover, there is a camera in the kitchen.
His father has arranged a washstand downstairs, so Jim will remember to wash.
Wow, families really took care of each other then. You'd never see a parent setting up a wash bowl for their kids on the kitchen counter today. Mostly because they can just turn on a tap.
What's the trouble with Jim? He didn't like his breakfast, and he was restless as he slept. He's cross and tired this morning. His throat isn't very red, but his eyes look queer.
No, don't worry. He was just up all night playing Minecraft, like all his friends.
Colds are easy to catch during the first 24 hours. Mother must see that Jim covers his coughs and stays away from others. She must sterilize his dishes by boiling them thoroughly in water.
Then incinerate them in the fires of Mount Doom.
Joan's room at school is a busy place, and Joan wants to help get ready for the kermesse. But first, she must wash her hands.
Hasn't she already washed her hands like 5 times now? At this rate, they'll have to make a film about avoiding obsessive-compulsive disorder. Meanwhile, the teacher gets all the kids who haven't signed waivers to be in this movie out of the shot.
Now Joan has her wraps off.
Wraps off? Did she just have surgery or something?
The kermesse has started.
This would make a lot more sense if you explained some more about what this festival is.
Joan's friends are selling cheese, and they are careful to keep the food clean.
Selling cheese to elementary students? Now I know how this movie was funded.
Everyone is having a good time, while poor George stays in bed.
No one loves you, George. This kid can't tell whether the camera in his bedroom is real or part of a fever dream.
But Jim's friends are enjoying the kermesse. They learn that Dutch people are clean.
Not like those dirty British people.
Hollanders leave their wooden shoes on their doorstep so that their floors are spotless.
Oh, and of course they had to put on wooden shoes. How else would we know that this was a Dutch festival? Oh, and I love how these kids are just so excited about this dance. Slow down, boys and girls. This isn't a mosh pit.
You have seen these children learning to take care of themselves. Now, do you know why George and Jim missed the kermesse?
Because they couldn't pass the audition? Hey, you didn't answer the question. How am I supposed to learn anything unless you spoon-feed it to me? Well, it's over, and it went by pretty fast, too. I'm used to the crap I watch taking up at least 20 minutes. Coronet Instructional Films produced dozens of educational films from the 1940s to the 1970s. And just like this one, a lot of them have ended up looking campy and stiff by today's standards. Still, the advice in the film isn't really bad. You could actually learn from it if the setup wasn't so dated. Coronet Films, though, is better known for its more over-the-top material, some of which has been riffed by the great Mystery Science Theater 3000 team. And that, of course, means there's a lot more kitsch to look at where this came from. Oh joy.